Does becoming a mom affect your productivity? You better believe it, but it actually swings both ways. Being a mom can be both the hardest thing that's ever happened for your productivity and also the best thing that's happened to your productivity. So today I want to unwrap all of that for you and kind of break down my personal experience, what I've learned along the way. I just want to encourage you, if you are a mom or if you're about to become a mom, I want you to know that all is not lost. There are so many things that I just wish my former self had known. I'm going to share with you everything that I've learned the hard way and try and give you a bunch of advice and tips for how to avoid making my same mistakes. Hi, I'm Amber with Solutions for Simplicity, and I'm so glad that you found me. This channel is all about helping you simplify your life, how you can have more time for the people and the things that matter to you. If you are new to this channel, please be sure and like this video if it helps you. Please subscribe and remember that I will be making a bunch of new content every week all about these themes. Now, as you can tell, I am not my normal self today. I don't have much of a voice, and I'm so sorry that you're gonna have to listen to me croak this out. But if anything, it just underscores the ultimate point that I hope this video makes, which is that when you're a mom, you have to be productive in whatever time you have, whenever you have it. The ultimate punchline is this: being a mom is the best thing that has ever happened to me. And yes, it has come with major changes to my productivity, but many of them for the better. Now, I am very certain that things might be easier if maybe I didn't have so many kids or have them so close together, but that's just how life worked out, and obviously I wouldn't go back and change a thing. What I wish I could go back and change is my perspective. I wish that someone had told me to expect that my productivity would take a dive, at least in the short term, and that someone would have equipped me with all of these strategies and tips and tools that I want to share with you so that you can avoid feeling like I did. If you haven't become a mom yet, or if you are a mom who is really wrestling with feeling like you want or should be more productive than you're able to be, these tips are for you. So bear with me, hope you can hear everything I'm saying, and let's jump in. I'm going to start out with a little bit of my experience because I want to make sure and emphasize that everybody's situation is different. And there are so many people out there that are just rocking it. So many moms that seem to have it all together and make it look so easy. And that has not been my experience. I have always wanted kids, but for a long time, the kid thing wasn't happening. And so I ended up on this kind of career track where doors just opened, and I'm so thankful for the time and the energy I had to devote to my career before having kids. But then that came with kind of this double-edged sword where once I became a mom, I thought that I could just keep going at that really intense pace. And I never, ever expected that my productivity would be so affected by having kids. More than that, I've had 3 kids in 4.5 years. I have yet to really get out of that baby or toddler phase, which is when I think it's the most intense, when I gather that it has the biggest impact on your productivity. So if you are a more advanced mom, if you have older kids, please let me know. Tell me there's hope in sight. And if you're not yet a mom, or if you are expecting your first child soon, I think it's good to know that these early years really do come with some challenges, but they are so wonderful, and you are gonna love it. So the biggest way that becoming a mom affects your productivity is that time is no longer your own. Back in my pre-kid days, I could do pretty much whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. If I wanted to stay up all night and work on something, I totally could. If I wanted to sleep till noon and make up for lost sleep, I could. If I wanted to, work first thing in the morning, I could just have whatever schedule I wanted. Since having kids, my time is totally revolving around their schedules. And especially with multiple kids, that just means that the chances of one of them being awake or one of them needing you or all of them needing you are that much higher. What we have to do is get super, super, super effective in very short chunks of time. I was not good about this before having kids, and I used to think that I needed 8+ hours of like an open time window in order to get something done. But now I realize that 10 minutes might be all I have, and I have to make that count. I can't just waste it away on something. I need to be doing anything and everything I can to keep things moving forward and really prioritizing what matters. Otherwise, I won't make progress day after day towards getting those big things done. Along with that, another way that becoming a mom affects your productivity is that you can't always just work within your normal peak performance window. Now, I've talked about this a couple of other times, and I've emphasized, or you'll often hear others talk about, how important it is to be doing your most important work when your body is most mentally and cognitively fresh. Well, first off, as a mom, at least a mom of young kids, I rarely, if ever, feel like I am at my peak performance. And I'll come back to that in a minute. Let me just tell you that mom brain is a real thing. But again, for now, I want to just underscore that you have to adapt, you have to evolve. I used to get up really early and make sure that I used my mornings so effectively to get my important work done. Well, now as a mom, the first 3-4 hours of the day are inevitably revolving around my kids' needs. Getting them up, getting them dressed, getting them breakfast, getting them to school or to daycare. And so it's usually 8:30, 9, sometimes even later by the time I get to work and can actually start doing whatever it is I need to do. On top of that, I used to love waking up very early in the morning and trying to, do as the experts say, just start my day off with morning mindset and prayer and planning things out and then hitting the ground running from the time I woke up. But what I have found is that the earlier I get up, inevitably the earlier my kids get up. I try and be so quiet, but somehow it's like we're on the same wavelength or something. And so I ultimately don't have those early morning hours all to myself all of the time. I also used to love working late at night. I would still just stay up and work at night because I was just so productive in those late night hours. But I didn't realize that I was really screwing myself over. It turned out that my son had a variety of sleep issues and I didn't address them right away. So, quick side note, to be your most productive, make sure that you help your kids get the sleep they need. What I found was that I would work until 11, 12, sometimes 1 o'clock at night, and just as I was crawling into bed, he would start to get up, and sometimes every half hour or so throughout the early morning hours, he would be waking up, and I literally never got to fall asleep. And I went through months of this. I went through a really deep depression that was driven primarily by sleep deprivation because I was working so hard at night thinking that, hey, I'm being productive, instead of sleeping and letting my body rest because that was my opportunity to sleep because my son was sleeping. Now, it used to drive me crazy. I mean, absolutely bonkers when people would say, you just have to sleep when your baby is sleeping. How is that possible as a mom? You always have so much you could or should be doing. But I really learned this the hard way, and it had such a huge impact on my productivity. So please don't make my mistake. Listen to what people say when they tell you to sleep when your baby is sleeping. All the rest you can get done later, I promise. Just recognize that your peak performance time is gonna have to fluctuate when you have kids until they get in a good rhythm and until you figure out what their sleep schedules are like and you get on a consistent routine. You just have to improvise. You have to make sure that when you have time to work, you sit down and do whatever matters the very most. The third way that your productivity is affected by becoming a mom is that you are constantly getting interrupted. Someone always needs you. Someone always needs something, especially if you are a work-at-home mom or a stay-at-home mom or just anytime that your kids are there, They want your attention. They love you. They want to be with you. They want to know what you are doing. And it's really hard to even focus on simple tasks. Now, as we all know, getting interrupted is terrible for your productivity. It's like you're trying to multitask on too many things and your attention can't focus where it needs to be. We all know that in order to maximize our productivity, we have to minimize interruptions, and that's just not reality with kids. Sure, there are ways that we could get our kids fixated with screens or, other kinds of toys and activities, but especially with my young kids, I just find that they want to be with me whenever we're together, and I love that. I want to encourage that, but it definitely means that those times when I get to be with my kids are not times where I can expect to be productive at all. Now, the big danger is that when we're a mom and we're constantly getting interrupted or feeling unproductive and we're not at our peak, we are always tempted to kind of blame our circumstances or, fail to take responsibility for what we do with the time that we have. And we might feel really sorry for ourselves. We might feel like, oh, this is just so hard, and, I would be doing so much better if X, Y, or Z. But that's not helpful. Don't be like this. I made this mistake and it's not good for our mental health. We can't do that to ourselves. All right, the fourth way that your productivity changes when you become a mom is that you are constantly scatterbrained. It's kind of a running joke in my family that mom always says the wrong thing. And that's because my mind is always going a million miles a minute. I'm trying to do something and people are talking at me and needing things and tugging at me, and inevitably I just spit out the wrong words. Again, mom brain is a real thing and I have struggled with it big time. I thought that maybe it would go away as my kids got older. I'm still waiting. If you are a more advanced mom, please let me know in the comments below when mom brain ended for you. Let me know there's hope, because oh my gosh, I struggle with this so badly. I so often find that I'm thinking of something, but I just can't grasp the words that I'm trying to say. I can't think of what it is that I'm looking for. And then maybe this was my personality even before I had kids, but I will start saying something or start doing something and then just get so absent-minded. Where was I? What was I even trying to do? That all just really ruins your productivity, because you have to start over, and those switching costs and getting back into the work, focusing back on whatever you were supposed to be doing, is not efficient at all. The fifth way that your productivity changes when you become a mom is that you are forced to cut out the BS. And I mean this in a really good, positive way. Before I had kids, I am actually pretty embarrassed to admit how I used to use some of my time. I would work really hard when I needed to, and then I would totally just take so much time off whenever I wanted to. Now that I'm a mom, I don't have that luxury. I really have to focus, and I only have a limited amount of time. Once you're a parent, time is that much more of a scarce resource, so you have to choose wisely. If I want to have time for me, time to get done what I need to do, and especially have time for all the people I love, then I have to really prioritize and not mess around. I have to focus on what really matters for my family, for my personal health, for my relationships, and obviously for my job. Another super positive aspect of how becoming a mom changes your productivity is that you get really comfortable with saying no. I used to be one of those people that said yes to everything. Even if someone asked me and I didn't want to do it, I was afraid of confrontation, and I just took on whatever was being asked of me because I didn't want to let people down. But now that I'm a mom and time is so precious, I know that it's not fair to whoever's asking, and it's not fair to me, it's not fair to my kids if I'm not protective of my time. So I've really tried to get better at saying no, better at saying, I wish I could do this and it sounds like a great opportunity, or I would love to be able to help you out, but I can't and I don't want to let you down, so I'm not going to be able to take this on at this time. I think in general, being a mom just helps you get a lot more comfortable, not only with yourself, but with letting go of what other people think. Now, saying no is still hard, and there are still so many things that come up that I wish I could do. In fact, I so often find myself talking with my husband about, oh, I wish I could do this or take advantage of that opportunity. And we often talk about where our careers might be if we didn't have kids. But the reality is, again, that having a family is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and it's honestly the best thing that's ever happened for my productivity, so I don't regret it in the least. One of the things that I was least prepared for about how becoming a mom affects your productivity was the fact that I would be constantly overwhelmed by mom guilt. Seriously, mom guilt is so vicious. I don't think I actually even knew that mom guilt was a real thing until I had kids. I'm not sure I even heard that term, mom guilt, until I became a mom myself. I was so naive, and I just really thought that, oh yeah, sure, our kid will slide so easily into our daily routine and everything will just stay the same but be that much better because we have our sweet, precious baby with us all the time. The reality is that in order to do my job, and in order to do some other things, or even just in order to take care of myself, there are times where I need to entrust my sweet children into the loving care of others. But I still really wrestle with feeling like a terrible mom if I'm not with them 100% of the time. Or even when I am with them, if my attention is distracted or I just have a lot on my mind, I feel like a bad mom because I'm not always the mom I wish I could be. So wrestling with that mom guilt is a daily struggle. It's something that I face. I hope you don't, but if you do, if you can relate, please let me know in the comments below. Please let me know I'm not the only one. If you want to know more about how I try and deal with mom guilt, let me know down below because I have a bunch of ideas of things I would love to share if there's interest. All right, the 8th way that being a mom affects your productivity is that you have to plan way, way, way ahead. I mean, light years ahead. If you have a deadline, if you know something big is coming up, you don't have time to wait until the last minute. I do admit that there are a lot of times where things do come right down to the wire, or many times where I am inevitably still late on something, but I've really worked to try and address this. I've really learned the hard way that I have to build in cushions. I have to really set early deadlines for myself to make sure that I'm getting things done well in advance of when they are due, because inevitably a kid gets sick, or I get sick, or something comes up and it just throws off when you thought you were going to be able to work. If you want to know a little bit more about how I do this, check the link down below. I've included in the description a link to my ultimate guide to planning so that everything goes according to plan. And it's just a compilation of these strategies and these really, really instrumental tips that have helped me plan more effectively so that I can anticipate life. And honestly, that is the key to productivity when you're a parent. You have to plan ahead. The 9th way that being a mom affects your productivity is that you get really, really good, or at least a lot better, at determining what is truly important to you. All those things that used to be important back before you had kids, those are still really great things, and I, at least, still feel my heart pulled towards wishing I could do things that I used to be able to do. There is an element of mourning my old life sometimes. I miss how productive I used to be able to be, or at least the things that I used to be able to be productive at. But as a mom, I have to constantly assess whether I am using my time in alignment with my values. And my biggest priority is my family. It's my kids. It's time creating this life that my husband and I are building for our sons. All that other stuff, I still really care about it, but I just can't make it my top priority. As you may know, I just made a video about how to prioritize tasks, and part of this exercise was assessing something's importance. But I got some really great feedback that sometimes it's hard to prioritize things that are important and not urgent. And one of the things that, at least for me, I've really found that as a mom, those are the things that I have to make time for, I have to schedule in, and if I don't have time for what I say is important, then it's on me. I'm doing something wrong because I'm letting those urgent things take more time and attention than they really should. So yeah, things are important, and lots of things are important, but there's still different levels of importance, and so I've really been forced to step back, assess my values, and think about how much time I'm really putting into living those values in my everyday life. I want to make sure that I am consistent with how I spend my time and who I am, who I want to be. So being a mom has really helped me learn that. I've learned it the hard way. And again, I just hope that I could help you know that from the beginning and maybe avoid making my same mistakes. All right, you probably saw this one coming, but a huge change of how being a mom affects your productivity is that you are always exhausted. I mean, more tired than I think you've probably ever been in your life. Do you see these circles? Those don't come for free. But in some ways, that's just the price we pay for being a mom. And especially as a working mom, I just have to accept what I can do my best, and try and move on, do better tomorrow. You work your tail off, hour after hour, day after day, and you feel like you're getting nowhere. You're so tired, you're so exhausted, but you still have to keep going because your kids need you. If there are any other tired mamas out there, please give me a shout out down below because I need to know that I'm not the only one. All right, as you can tell from this entire video, another way that becoming a mom affects your productivity is that you get okay with something being done instead of being perfect. I am the biggest perfectionist, but as a mom, I've really had to recognize that being perfect isn't attainable, for one, and that it really doesn't matter. There are so many things, most things, if not all things, that are they just need to get done. Done is so much better than perfect, and being able to just cross something off of my list and move on to something else, that's the real secret to being productive as a mom. I really still wrestle with this. Believe me, anyone who knows me knows that I want my work to be the best quality that it can be. My reality is not what it used to be, so I have to just let go. I just have to let something be good instead of perfect and accept that, as I've mentioned elsewhere, done is better than perfect. And that brings me to the final way that being a mom affects your productivity. We so often as moms think that we are getting nothing done. We had these big ambitions, this huge long list of all the things we wanted to do, and we feel like we didn't get to any of it. We didn't cross off near the number of things that we would have in our former lives. I have really learned the hard way that I can't measure my success by what I did or didn't do in a day or a week or a month. And I've talked about this elsewhere, but it's just so critical as a busy mom that you think and evaluate yourself long term. Being a mom is about adopting a long-term perspective. Are we focused on what really matters in the moment? And then the productive stuff will happen when it can. If we're using our little chunks of time wisely, then we don't have to worry about this. Some traction, any traction, is sometimes the best we can get, but it's those small incremental steps that just add up to big success over time. Now, on this note, one of the most helpful things I ever came across was an article that I will link for you down below, showing that it's actually the moms who are in the long term the most productive. So this was so enlightening and helpful for me, and it really just gave me hope, gave me faith that maybe I can't be at my full productivity potential right now, but someday I will be, and over the long haul, I know that I can get there. You can't assess your productivity by what happened today or what your to-do list looks like. This isn't about comparison, right? We all know that comparison is the thief of joy. And one of the biggest dangers when we become a mom is that we look at someone else, or we might envy how productive we see someone else being. But it's very important when you're a mom not to compare how you are or how things are for you to how they are for someone else, and even more importantly, how they used to be for you. Doing that is only going to make us miserable. We'll end up in this pit of what's called relative deprivation, where we feel such a sense of loss, such a sense of failure because we are not performing up to our old standards, or we're not performing up to someone else's standards. And that doesn't do us any good. Don't go there. Don't do that to yourself. If you are a busy, hardworking mom, you know that you are doing your best, and you're doing it because you love your family. You have to give yourself a pat on the back for all the small wins, all the little accomplishments, because if you're waiting for some grand accomplishment, it's not going to happen very frequently. It's really the small, little things that matter the most when you're a busy mom. And again, as I've talked about in my Why You Should Be Productive video, your value and worth has nothing to do with how productive you are. So don't let your mind mess with you. Just know that you will be productive when you can, as you're able, but your productivity doesn't define you. It's your family that matters. And don't forget to take care of yourself. So yeah, being a mom comes with some challenges, and it's not easy to be as productive as we might like to be. But we really have two choices. Are we going to use that as an excuse, or are we going to work to improve and better ourselves so that we can be productive when we have the time? So as you can tell, I could go on and on and on about this. It's something that I'm so passionate about because I just wasn't prepared for how becoming a mom would change my productivity. But I really hope you found this helpful. If you did, as always, please give this video a big thumbs up, share it with someone that might be interested, and I would be so honored if you would subscribe to this channel. Please make sure and come back every Thursday. I make new videos all about prioritization, productivity, time management, and that elusive thing that we call work-life balance. If you're not already following me on Instagram, go ahead and check me out over there. I post regular tips and advice and kind of behind the scenes pictures of my life there. So I'd love to have you follow me on Instagram as well. All right, thank you for watching. I really hope that the message and the ultimate points that I wanted to convey came across, even if I wasn't able to speak them as well as I would have liked. Until next time, thanks for joining me on the journey. Why can't I talk today? Oh, where is my voice? Didn't happen for a long time. So, a bird just seriously flew into the window. I have so much trouble thinking of words when I want to find them. Like now is a perfect example. I want to again underscore that. Why do I always forget? So ridiculous. Oh my gosh, it's hot. Was there anything else I was gonna say? It's not a word. You're in the mouth. What was I even saying? All right, take 1 million. Here we go. I drive myself crazy.